Hello, everyone. I'm Tomasz Manugiewicz, and today I would like to talk to you about trust-driven development. You may have heard about term TDD or acronym TDD, and it's obviously test-driven development. But as I was working through the years with the development teams in the various roles, and I saw that trust is this important factor that makes the software better. So today I would like to show you how I see it and why the trust is so important. Some of you may have heard about term VUCA World. It means that the world is volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. This term was used after the Second World War, and it describes basically the world, nowadays world, where we operate. On the other hand, we know that we have our agile world as we are software developers or people working in a software development environment. We have some agile conditions on the market, and those conditions are unknown requirements, market dynamics, complex problems, and ambiguous estimations. Obviously, we know that market is really dynamic nowadays. Many companies are popping up every day. Many startups are being created, and also many companies are closing down every day. So market is really dynamic. There are a lot of new applications, a lot of new demand that we need to fulfill. So when it comes to the requirements, obviously, where is the demand? There are requirements from our customers. And if you work in software development, you know that those requirements can be tough to define, that some business people can have the idea what to develop, but then when you ask about the details, about the detail use cases and so on, they rely on you to define. Sometimes it's in that way, and there is a little bit of frustration between development teams and the business. The business would like developers to advise what the system should do, and developers would like the client or someone else from the business to tell them what they should program. When it comes to complex problems, we are here to solve the complex problems. So obviously, when we would like to develop the requirements which are unknown, the problems that we are facing are really complex usually. And there is a question at the end or at the beginning, actually, how much does it cost? So someone comes to us and asks about estimations. Obviously, that's also a challenging situation when someone asks about how does it cost, but they don't know exactly what the system will be doing. So there are a lot of different discussions and different techniques how to estimate and how to provide the most accurate estimation. However, it's only estimation. We sometimes say guesstimations. So we see that all those four aspects are ambiguous as well. So when we think about, when we come back to thinking about VUCA world, ambiguous, volatile, and we see our agile world, that's the acronym that I defined, the MUCA conditions. So the conditions that we operate in, and agile help us surviving or thriving in these conditions. So once I called out agile, I would like to show you those four sentences. Obviously, most of you know what those are, but I would just like to emphasize that in every single sentence that we have, this is Agile Manifesto, by the way, the sentence of Agile Manifesto, we are focused on trust. We are focused on trust because when we talk about individual and interactions, we talk about trust. If we interact with each other, we need to trust ourselves in order to cooperate. When we talk about customer collaboration, again, customer needs to trust us that we will deliver the software that he or she will pay. And we need to trust the customer that they will pay us and they will know what they would like to develop. Responding to a change, definitely, it's also about trust because client needs to trust us that we will first things first, see the change in the market, see the change in the requirements, and then we will respond to that. So we'll propose new features, for example, or new requirements. And at the end, based on trust that we build, we are producing working software. And also at the beginning of the contract, our client needs to trust us that we will deliver what we promised at the beginning. As I'm an engineer, and it was all about trust, but I didn't know what trust actually really is behind the scene. I did some research, some reading through the books about trust, and I saw those two aspects of trust. That when you build trust, there are two aspects, two main pillars that trust is being built: the cognitive aspect and the emotional aspect. Cognitive aspect is transmitted through thinking. So all our things, our thoughts, that we have in our mind are transmitted to thinking, to cognitive aspect. And there is also emotional aspect, which is transmitted through feelings. And what are the details of it? When we have thinking aspect, so this cognitive aspect, we have skills, knowledge, experience, and those three delivers results. So when someone, for example, in a software development team, they will see that I have a skills in Java development. So they will trust me that I will help the team in Java space. When they will see also that I have the knowledge because I studied a lot of time, a lot of years on my studies, they will also rely on me, that they say this guy has the knowledge in Java. And when I bring my expertise and experience on the table, they will also trust me that I am qualified, I have the skills, I have experience, I saw many things in the different companies, so team can trust me that I will deliver the result. So that's one aspect. And this emotional aspect, when people see that you are honest, people see that you are open, people see that your actions follows your words, that basically they will see that you are in the integrity, and they will feel comfortable with you, they will feel secure with you, that they will know that they can rely on you, but not because of your expertise, but because of your openness, character, and yourself, your true self. Let's put it that way. And this kind of trust is transmitted more through feelings. So you don't speak with people, you don't ask, hey, are you open with me? Hey, are you honest, maybe? Is that something this is transmitted through feeling, that you feel that people are open, or they feel that people, you can feel that people are not open, they hide something behind. And now I would like to focus a little bit for this cognitive aspect. So as I said, this is all about thinking. So this is all about analysis that we do on a daily basis. This is all about the logic that we have in our mind and we implement in our systems. It's all about the language we use. And it can be English language, it can be Polish language, it can be Java language, for example, because if people are, they know Java, they can just talk using this Java terms, like, for example, garbage collector or other technical stuff, that they will understand each other. We have also Agile language. We have some terms in Agile that you need to have some knowledge in order to understand the language and communicate with other Agile folks. And obviously data, it's all about analyzing the data, collecting the data, and this is this cognitive set of aspects. And what we need to watch out here, we need to watch out for a judging piece. So judging is something that will disturb our trust, because if we have data, for example, we see that this person yesterday did some mistake in Java code. They produced not so a clean code. Let's put it that way. We can easily judge him or her that, oh, this guy can't code because this code was not so shiny that I would love to see. So this is something that you need to watch out, because if you have the data, it's easy to judge. But sometimes you need to think also about other aspects, like the situation that was yesterday, that maybe this guy was on a hurry, or that maybe there was a deadline, and in order to fulfill the deadline, this guy decided to create a technical debt. That's a lot of aspects that we need to watch out. And emotional intelligence, on the other hand, is about feelings, as I said. So it's about emotions that we have. It's about mood that people can have, and about non-verbal signs. And first things first, we need to observe it in ourselves. So we need to know in which emotion state we are, if we are angry, or if we are maybe tired, and how is mood, how it's our mood in different situations. And also we need to be aware that we send some message with non-verbal signs. Obviously, there's a lot of books about non-verbal communication, and to be honest, it's it's the knowledge, it's there, but we need to also watch out for some specific techniques, or this is not the magic. This is because some books describes it as a magic. It's not the magic, but this is a simple thing. When you are tired, for example, and you are you have a lower mood, your gestures may be not so open to people, and you will not be so enthusiastic and so open to show them that that you can connect. You more will be in that way, showing this type of gestures. So you need to think about that's okay that you have lower mood, but you need to know that people react on your gestures and on your mood. And especially for emotions, if you feel some emotions, that's okay. We are humans, we feel every emotions through the day and through the week. And what's important is to know in which state we are, because if we know that, for example, right now we don't feel so happy, we don't feel we feel maybe tired, or we are not in a good mood, we will then not transmit our emotions to others. And that's important, because when you are self-aware, you can take care of your team as well. But if you don't know what's going on inside you, if you are angry, or if you are sad, or if you're scared, then subconsciously you will transmit those emotions to the team, and people will feel that something is going wrong with this person now, but I don't know what's going on, and I see some nonverbal signs. So people can it can disturb building trust with each other. Okay, so we know those two pillars about trust, and I would like to tell you that those two pillars are the key to break down the silos. So if you have the silos in your company, the only way to break it down, and we all nowadays would like to break it down, I guess, is to have the trust. Here you can see the DevOps tools ecosystem, and there are a lot of tools which we love to use, which we love to implement, and we love to learn new tools. Every single year, new tools are popping up as well. But what's important, there are a lot of tools dedicated for different type of work in software development. So, for example, there is a, let's call it that way, phase or the domain of the building software on the left-hand side. Then you have specific tools for that. Then you can have specific tools for test your software that you build. And then you can have specific tools for deploy your solution to production, and so on, to run on production, to monitor on production, and so on. And that's perfect for our technological stack that we use those tools. But what it does, consciously or subconsciously, those tools could support silos, because if we have such a tools and people dedicated that they know how to operate in such build phase, they will focus just on the build phase, and that's what developers do usually. On the other hand, you have people or tools which are for deployment, running, monitoring application on production, and that's what its operation is about. And why we talk about DevOps, development plus operations, because we talk about building trust and building relationships between developers and operations, for example. So if we have developers who develop the code and then pass it through the other team to run it, to deploy it in production and run it, then the other team feels isolated. On the other hand, when the team, they run application on production, something is going wrong, and they just put the tickets to the other team and say, oh, you developed it, please fix that. So that's the tension that we have, and in order to bring those teams together, we basically need to build the trust between those guys. The developers will trust operations, that they will know what's going on the production with the code that they developed, so they need to have some knowledge about this code. And operations will trust developers, that developers will help operations to solve some production issues. So as I already said, this is about trust, because when we build trust between those teams, we build basically the one team. It doesn't need to be dedicated, separate one team, but when we have the same goal of people and the same mission for group of people, that's the group of people that we can call team, and where the trust is built. And then when we build the trust, we then have relationships, and we're coming back to this Agile Manifesto, which is all about collaboration and relations, and also interactions. Here you have the proof, the quotation from Amazon, that communication and collaboration is one of the key aspects of DevOps movement. Because as I said, if we have developers and ops operations, then bringing them together, it's basically bringing them in order to communicate and collaborate. And here's the example from the DevOps State Report, that it's not only about tools. Obviously, there are important aspects about automation, CI/CD pipeline, and so on. But there are specific two aspects that I highlighted here. The first one is about individuals can do work without manual approval. So someone needs to trust us that we as individuals in the team can do the work without approval. And there is also the aspect on the fifth stage. Security teams are involved in technology design and development. That's also the key, because sometimes security is a team sitting somewhere that people don't know where, and they are just raising some tickets. But the key for DevOps or DevSecOps nowadays, it's the one more movement, DevSecOps, development security operations. It's bringing security to the table. Okay, so we talked about collaborating, meeting with each other, relating to each other, but then 2 years ago, almost, COVID happened. So how to cooperate once we are online? So we survived because basically, just like this, we moved everything to online. We moved our work to online. We moved our schools to online. We moved our relax to online and concerts. private meetings, and we moved even gyms to online. Uh, and we survived. Yes, we made it. But right now, once we are slowly coming back to normal, I hope that this is the last wave that will be going on nowadays. We need to re-establish relationships, because basically we had some relationships before COVID, and then we moved everything to online. And at the beginning, were I guess enthusiastic about working from home and working through the video and so on. But over time, we were, or most of us were, tired with this video conferencing setup, and we, at least myself, I tend to spend less time with people talking than before COVID. So once we are coming back to normal, we need to re-establish those relationships. We need to focus on scheduling some dedicated time to build relationships, because trust and relationships and trust is something that you can't build with a 3 hours meeting, or I don't know, 8 hours meeting um, one time, but you build it over time with a small amount of time and energy invested in the relation. So then if we operate in the virtual environment, we need to focus on building these situations and scheduling the situation that we could focus on building relationships. Why is so important to build relationships in software development? Because we build software, obviously, but we build software together. There are a lot of different people building the software. So if we wouldn't have the relationships, that building something would be much difficult. And once we build the relations, as I said, and trust, we can improve our software, because we can see, for example, performance issues um, more actively, or we can search for new requirements, or we can think about our client, because we are together in the table, and some of us can have different ideas, and we can inspire others with our ideas. And that's why that's when we feel that we belong. We belong to something more than just ourselves. We create something bigger than ourselves. So those aspects can help us belonging. And when we feel belong, we feel safe, we feel that people trust us, we can trust them. So this is the place where the creativity is born. Why? Because creativity is all about ideas. And in order to have one good idea, we need to come up with 10 or 20 different ideas. Some of them may be stupid, some of them not so good. And in order to come up with them, we need to know that we will not be judged by others, that people will accept our ideas. That's okay, that we can have sometimes different ideas, that it's not so brilliant, but it's the way to have the brilliant idea. Because when you have the first idea and the second and third, you can be inspired by those three. There are different techniques how to boost creativity, and that's my separate talk that I produced this year for the other conference. So I can talk about it a very long time. But here I just would like to mention that creativity is when you feel safe and you trust others. And at the end, I would like to leave you with a quotation from Simon Sinek about trust and about team, that team is not a group working together. A team is a group that trusts each other. Thank you very much for the time today. I guess this is obviously the recording, as you may guess, and obviously will be also the Q&A part, which is live in a second, I guess. So I invite you to ask questions, and also if you would like to talk about trust or creativity or other aspects, feel free to connect with me online. Uh, Thank you very much and have a nice day.